from the station that's on your side. This is Channel 7 News at 6.
Good evening. We begin tonight with tragedy in Fordyce. A gunman opens fire in a grocery store parking lot, killing 3 people and wounding 10 others, including 2 police officers. Arkansas State Police fired back at the shooter, who is now in custody. The police officers and the shooter, we're told, have non-life-threatening injuries. Channel 7's Ryan Houston is anchoring our coverage in Fordyce today. He joins us now live. Ryan, what can you tell us?
Well, people here in Fordyce are calling this a senseless tragedy. And since we first talked to you, Beth, at 5 p.m., law enforcement have sort of cleared out, but as you can see, it is still a very active scene. I'm counting maybe at least 10 to 20 state troopers here, still collecting evidence, still trying to figure out exactly what happened. There's a lot we don't know, but let me tell you what we do know. State police say around 11:30, they first started getting 911 calls about a gunman here at the Mad Butcher grocery store. They say when they got here, the gunman opened fire on them, and that's when they returned fire. We know that, as you just mentioned, Beth, 2 officers were injured in the shooting. They have non-life-threatening injuries. We know that the gunman was also injured in the shooting and arrested. They tell us that they expect the gunman to recover. We also can tell you that 11 people who were just out here minding their business, just shopping in the middle of the day on a Friday, were caught in the crossfire, and they were wounded from the mass shooting. I can tell you that 3 of those people have since died. We also have learned that all of the other victims were taken to UAMS Hospital to be treated for their injuries, and their injuries range from critical all the way to non-life-threatening injuries. I can also tell you that the Arkansas State Police just wrapped up an earlier news conference, maybe about 2 hours ago. Let's take a listen to what they had to say.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Hager. I'm the Secretary of Department of Public Safety and the Director of the Arkansas State Police. We're going to give a brief statement of facts, not answer any questions at this time. First, this situation is secure and it's contained. There are no active threats to the community. At approximately 11:38, 911 calls were received that there was an active shooting situation at the Mad Butcher grocery store in Fordyce. Law enforcement responded immediately and exchanged gunfire with a lone suspect. Unfortunately, we can confirm that 11 innocent civilians were shot and 3 of those are deceased. 2 law enforcement officers were injured in the exchange of gunfire. The suspect was also shot and taken into custody. The injuries to the officers and the suspect are not considered life-threatening. The remaining civilian injuries range from non-life-threatening to extremely critical. The investigation is in its early stages, and we have no information or no more information that we can release at this time. The Arkansas State Police will be the lead investigative agency, and all media inquiries should be routed through our communications department. We do anticipate a further news release later in the evening. I've been in constant contact with Governor Sanders. She's committed any resources needed to aid in this investigation or any support needed for the community of Fordyce and Dallas County. To reiterate the total numbers, we had 11 civilians shot. 3 of those are deceased, and we do have some that are critical. We have 2 law enforcement officers that were shot. Neither of their injuries are considered to be life-threatening, and we had 1 suspect that was shot. He's in custody. His injuries are also not life-threatening. Just on behalf of the state police, the law enforcement community, all public and first responders, it's tragic. Our hearts are broken. Our prayers, along with Governor Sanders, the entire state of Arkansas, will be with this community and with those affected victims. Thank you.
Well, you just heard it there. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with all of the victims here today. I want to bring in Channel 7's Emma Allen. Now, Emma, thank you so much for your hard work today. You were out here earlier today, and you mentioned that you talked to witnesses who actually had to hide from the gunman.
Yes, I did, and actually we have sound from them in just a minute. But first, I just want to say community members have been talking about this all day long. They're upset. They're thankful that the gunman has been put in police's custody. But everywhere you look around here, you will see signs that say that businesses are closed in this area and that say pray for Fordyce because of the tragic events that occurred earlier today. Now, I did talk to two teenagers that witnessed the shooting, and here's what they had to say.
He had rounds and he was just shooting, like he was shooting, and I locked the door and I got real low because my mama don't got no tent, so he was gonna see us. And I held my sister's hand and I told her I love her and I prayed for her, and I was just sitting there in fear because from where I was sitting, the only thing I could see was him if he came up to it. All I seen was the sky, and I just prayed, and I was real scared. Like, I would never think that would happen in Fordyce.
You know, and that's something that the community members reiterated, was that they never thought anything like this would happen in Fordyce. But one thing I do want to say is those two teenagers told me that they still, after all that happened, they pray for the gunman.
Wow. Emma, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing your report tonight on Channel 7 News at 10. So, again, we know that 11 people were shot. 3 people have died. As you can see, this is still a very active scene. We know that police, firefighters, and hospital staff, they train for mass casualty events throughout the year, mass shootings. And as you can see, they're putting that training to good use tonight. In Fordyce, Ryan Houston, on your side.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much. And thanks to Emma Allen as well for your coverage today in Fordyce. Ryan and Emma will be back with us a little bit later in the show. Meanwhile, reaction to this mass shooting pouring in today. It prompted immediate public responses from leaders across the state. 7 on your side's Lisa Hudson joins us with what they're saying tonight. Lisa.
Well, Beth, lawmakers and the governor are weighing in on the events in Fordyce. This is from Governor Sanders. She wrote, quote, "I have been briefed on the tragic shooting in Fordyce, and I'm in constant contact with state police at the scene. I'm thankful to law enforcement and first responders for their quick and heroic action to save lives. My prayers are with the victims and all those impacted by this horrific incident." And then if we look at Congressman Bruce Westerman's comment over the 4th District that includes Fordyce, he says, "I'm grateful for the quick response by law enforcement and first responders on the scene in Fordyce this afternoon. My office is in constant contact with local officials, and I will continue to monitor the situation as details emerge. My prayers are with the victims and their families and the entire Fordyce community." Of course, we also heard prayers and thoughts coming from both Senator Cotton and Senator Bozeman today as well. Now, according to the Gun Violence Archive, which is a database that keeps track of mass shootings across the country, this is the 6th mass shooting in Arkansas this year, at least the 50th in 10 years since 2014. They define a mass shooting as one where 4 or more people are injured or killed, not including the shooter. So far, more than 225 mass shootings have occurred in the United States this year, killing more than 300 people. On your side, I'm Lisa Hudson.
Lisa, thanks again. Be sure to stay with Channel 7. We'll have an update on this breaking news story coming up later in this newscast. Well, the man at the center of a nearly 2-day manhunt in Morrilton is now in the custody of Oklahoma law enforcement. The charges Stacey Drake is now facing when we come back. Tonight, we continue our coverage of a days-long search for a suspected killer out of Oklahoma that ended yesterday. Today, the fugitive 50-year-old Stacey Drake was transported back to Oklahoma to stand trial at a later date. Channel 7's Ashley Lunningham joins us live from Morrilton tonight with the update on today's event. Ashley.
Yeah, Beth. Arkansas authorities wasted no time and officially turned over Stacey Drake to Oklahoma authorities at noon today. He's no longer here. He is no longer in the state. Now take a look at this video of Drake. He's being booked into the Conway County Detention Center by authorities. This is shortly after his arrest yesterday morning. You can see them walking him down the hall to be processed. Well, we were here today at the detention center. You can see this video of Drake being put into a vehicle and transferred to the custody of of Oklahoma authorities. At 9 a.m. this morning, an extradition hearing was held where Drake waived that hearing and volunteered to go willingly with Sequoyah County Sheriff's deputies, where he will stand trial at a later date for charges filed against him regarding the double homicide case in Oklahoma. Currently, Drake has been charged with 3 counts of murder in the first degree and 1 count of robbery with a weapon. All of these charges, according to the warrant from the state of Oklahoma, pertain to the double homicide that resulted in the deaths of Tara Underwood and Taylor Sharp on Tuesday. Now, the 15th Judicial District Prosecutor Tom Tatum says authorities had to decide who was taking Drake first.
There were actually warrants out from Oklahoma, Alabama, and also Fort Smith, but both Fort Smith and Alabama agreed to allow him to be extradited to Oklahoma.
Now, we spoke to the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation, who says there has not been a trial date set for Drake at this time. Drake is also a person of interest in a 3rd homicide in Oklahoma, but official charges have not been filed at this time. In Morrilton, on your side, I'm Ashley Lenningham.
Okay, Ashley, thanks a lot. We'll keep you updated as we hear more on when Drake is set to stand trial.
The heat and the humidity start to ramp up as we progress through the weekend and into early next week. I've got new information on the heat advisory possibilities coming up.
Welcome back. We want to go back to our top story tonight. 3 people are dead and 10 others are injured, including 2 police officers, after a gunman opened fire at a Fordyce grocery store. Channel 7's Ryan Houston and Emma Allen join us again from Fordyce with continuing coverage of the situation there. Hey, guys.
All right, Beth, we really don't have any new information to give you other than we are sending our thoughts and prayers to all of the victims affected in this shooting outside of the Mad Butcher grocery store that happened around 11:30 earlier today. I'm joined with Channel 7's Emma Allen. And Emma, I was listening to your interview earlier with the pastor who says that he knows some of the victims who died.
Yes, so that's one thing about Fordyce is everybody seems to know everybody. The pastor said that he knew some of the community members that had died and that had been shot, and here's what he had to say about the whole thing.
Some kids that was there was on the phone with me telling me what was going on. And right as he's shooting, I'm on the phone with them telling them to stay down. They actually shot that car of some of my church members. And so I called the sheriff. Hadn't nobody called through yet, so he was on his way. I called our mayor and said, Mayor, have you heard anything? He hadn't heard about it, but it was happening as I was talking to him. And, man, they got on the radio and did an all call. Before you know it, police cars was all around the place.
Now, community members say they just hope that the people that were involved in all of this and even the family members of that lost loved ones today will be able to get some counseling and therapy to help with a tragic event like this.
And Emma, he also mentioned that some of the victims had to run and get inside of a cooler for safety.
Yeah, so some of them actually had to hide out, and even in cars in the parking lot, they had to duck down so the shooter would not see them.
All right, Emma, thank you so much. We look forward to your story tonight on Channel 7 News at 10. We will continue to look for evidence and actually talk to witnesses and police. We'll bring you the latest on air and online. In Fordyce, Ryan Houston on your side.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much. And our thanks to Emma Allen as well in Fordyce for us. If you missed any of today's coverage from Fordyce, including the Arkansas State Police press conference, you can find it over at KATV.com or on the KATV YouTube page. And of course, we'll have much more on this story from Fordyce tonight on Channel 7 News at 10.
From the weather team with the most experience, this is Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt.
Mostly a dry day across the state, but one little shower formed in southeast Arkansas, and look at this. A land spout not that long ago, shot by Brianna Unruh and sent to us by Cameron Williams near Lake Village, and it passed over into Ashley County. A very weak rotation there, and what happens is you get a little shower, and you have such humid air and warm air that the air rapidly rises and it can spin. And generally speaking, you have winds of 50 miles an hour or less with those, and they do little in the way of any damage, but kind of an interesting feature there. And that was the shower right there, I believe, right along Highway 82 as I headed over toward Montrose. Max heat index. Well, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, a lot more humid. And even though it'll be hot tomorrow, not the humidity that we'll see later in the weekend and early next week. But there is a little bit of relief coming perhaps in the long term. Now tonight, other than a sprinkle of rain down in southeast Arkansas, it should be mostly clear. And on Sunday as well, I don't see any good chance of rain. We'll watch North Arkansas for a shower or two. But then as we head into Monday, a few scattered showers. Tuesday, a little bit more coverage. And Wednesday, a front comes down into the state. Now, it won't go completely through, but it will enhance our rain chances and take the edge off that high heat that is coming. Now, tomorrow, it will be warm. Don't get me wrong. 75 to start, 95 peak heat of the afternoon, even 91 by noon. Humidity levels, though, not really much worse than they were today. So Sunday is when we really start to get hot and humid. 91 right now here. It's 91 at Monticello. And there's a look at our Middleton Heat and Air weather cam as we head down to a low of 75 tonight. So certainly a warm night. And a southeast wind. We'll switch to a southwesterly wind tomorrow. A little bit warmer than it was today, up to 95. And there's that relief, though, as we get a little rain chance that it goes up Tuesday and Wednesday, and the temperatures come back down to the low 90s and maybe a little less humidity in that longer range forecast. Weekend weather scale? Well, tomorrow, not a bad day at all. It'll be a little bit warmer. Sunday, not great, so not a 10, but how about an 8 on the weekend weather scale? Hope everybody has a good weekend and can enjoy some outdoor time.
Yeah, 8's not too bad.
Yeah.
We'll take it. Thanks, Barry. Well, stay with us. Coming up, we continue our coverage on today's deadly mass shooting in Fordyce. We'll be right back. Well, if you're just tuning in, our top story today, 3 people are confirmed dead and 8 others are injured after a gunman opened fire outside a Fordyce grocery store this morning. Emergency dispatchers started receiving 911 calls around 11:40 this morning after a gunman opened fire outside the Mad Butcher grocery store on West 4th Street, right in the heart of town. Here's what we know. 3 people are dead. 8 other civilians are injured. Authorities also confirmed that 2 police officers and the suspect were injured in the shooting. But we were told in that press conference earlier that none of those injuries are considered life-threatening.
And I felt like the active shooter didn't think about no kids. He didn't think about the people that was around and the genuine people who lost their lives just because they was going through something. I felt like if you was going through something, you should have talked to somebody. Like, you know, I work at Mill Creek. We could have talked to you. Somebody out here is to help you. We're willing to always help. So it's like for somebody to do this, it's really heartbreaking for the people who have to lose their lives. Just want to go into the store and get something, you know, probably for their families.
And if you missed any of today's coverage of the deadly mass shooting in Fordyce, you can find it on KATV.com or the KATV YouTube page. We'll have the very latest updates for you tonight on Channel 7 News at 10 o'clock. Well, that does it for us here on Channel 7 News at 6. Thanks for being with us tonight, and we hope to see you back here at 10 o'clock. Have a great weekend.